My girlfriend told me to delete her. This time, I smiled. I sent her 503,000 yen. Her affection rose 5 points. Suddenly, losing me hurt. She had been choosing gifts for another man. Junkai watched me lose her with a smirk. I watched their car disappear. That night, I broke quietly. By morning, the old me was gone. I would never beg again. That was when the system answered. It put a fortune under my name. 9 trillion coins changed the rules. But first, let me show you what she did. Shutong's breakup message hit, and I answered before pride could stop me. I kept asking whether it was some cruel joke. Her explanation arrived with one final gift. She had blocked me. My roommates found me folded over that glowing screen. Even they were tired of watching me shatter for her. By midnight, the breakup had already become building gossip. I still defended her. Shutong met me with the calm of someone already leaving. People watched me offer kindness she no longer wanted. She said she was going back to someone richer. Junkai nearly clipped me with his sports car. Shutong blamed me while his engine smoked behind her. She gave me one last look and chose his passenger seat. I ended up alone beneath supermarket lights. Cold water did nothing for the taste of humiliation. The bottle collapsed before I did. The system's fortune waited behind one golden button. You want the catch? I couldn't spend it on myself. It could only be spent on women like Lele. Their affection would unlock real rewards for me. I stared at those numbers until disbelief became appetite. 9 trillion coins had already cleared. I stopped thinking about winning Shutong back. I chose Lele, the sharpest beauty in the room. One gesture bound her to my new account. Every coin spent on her could strengthen me. Lele greeted my offer with a polished little taunt. She expected another student pretending to have money. I let her challenge me. She offered to cover everyone, certain I would retreat. I declined her charity without raising my voice. 50,000 landed in my account instead. The whispers changed immediately. Lele checked twice, looking for the trick. I simply held out my payment code. For once, the beautiful girl was the one left speechless. And the best part? I hadn't even started spending. Lele handed me her phone, still testing my nerve. She leaned close enough to make the old me panic. I led her straight into the luxury district. She walked toward Gucci, waiting for me to hesitate. I followed without checking a single price. Inside, Lele asked whether my confidence was real. Across the boutique, Junkai noticed us. He wore the same easy smile from the night I lost. Only now, he was the one studying the price tags. Shutong stood beside him, pretending not to see me. Her guarded stare found Lele first. I gave Shutong nothing back. Lele leaned closer, making the contrast impossible to miss. I told her to choose whatever she wanted. She asked the clerk for the newest spring bag. There was only one left. Unfortunately for Shutong, she was holding it. She recognized me and tightened her grip. Junkai questioned why she needed another expensive gift. Shutong called it an early birthday present for him. He said love wasn't about money. Convenient, wasn't it? Shutong heard the warning beneath his smile. Still, she snatched the bag before Lele could. Lele only raised another purse and looked at me. I passed her my black card. Her affection climbed before the receipt even printed. The room finally noticed which man could actually pay. Shutong lowered her head beneath all those watching eyes. Lele admired her new bag while I stayed behind her. She caught Shutong watching through the glass. So she took my arm and smiled like I belonged there. Shutong rushed me, demanding an answer she had already discarded. I met her anger with silence. The system quietly bound my second relationship. Shutong stepped closer, suddenly unwilling to let me leave. Her rising affection meant another reward for me. Lele asked where I wanted to go next. I chose another store. Spending on her was easier than explaining myself to my ex. So I pointed, and the staff started packing. One gold card settled the entire counter. Lele's teasing smile softened beneath the shopping bags. I bought perfume without asking the price. Cosmetics followed, and her affection kept rising. By the clothing store, she had stopped testing me. She blushed beneath a mountain of things I'd chosen. I offered her a house. That was one step too far. Her affection dipped, and I paused instead of pushing. Lele wasn't frightened by me. She distrusted easy devotion. I leaned closer and asked whether generosity scared her. I waved the attendant over before she could retreat. I called the next gift a recommendation, not a promise. That distinction left her blushing harder than the money did. I lowered my voice and let her choose the distance. She smacked my cheek and told me not to tease her. Her affection shot upward anyway. Next, I studied the man in the mirror. Lele asked whether I had ever dressed for myself. I had no good answer. 6 years, I dressed to please Shutong. Lele turned toward the salon and chose for me. The city was still awake, so I kept changing. I sat down and let the barber cut away the old look. When I stood again, even I looked expensive. Lele covered her mouth, and the system counted another rise. She hooked one finger around mine, pleased with her work. Over a drink, she finally stopped treating me like a wallet. By the time we reached her building, neither of us rushed goodbye. My roommate burst in later like dating Lele was criminal. I showed him the messages and called it one evening. The others warned me she was far beyond my reach. I let them explain women to the man she had just chosen. Shutong's unfriend notice was still waiting on my phone. Outside, her apartment windows glowed through the dark. Her roommate asked why the man she dumped sent that much. $500,000 made my poverty story rather difficult to believe. I answered Shutong with sweet stickers and no apology. She read every message, searching for the desperate man she'd blocked. Instead, I mentioned Lele and let jealousy do the work. You know what silence buys? Curiosity. But 1x was too slow for the fortune I needed to spend. I opened Shark Live. Xiaomier was smiling sweetly into a crowded stream. A live stream could move money faster than any boutique. I watched Xiaomier make a heart and selected my gift. The first glowing rocket wiped the smile from her face. I sat on my bunk and checked the quantity. 900 looked efficient. I pressed send, and the screen exploded with rockets. Across the city, Shark Live's offices lit up. A subordinate burst in, and the executive sprayed his coffee. 10 million from one account made the whole platform panic. Backstage, nobody in the streamer's lounge stayed relaxed. Private messages spread my account name faster than gossip ever had. Every streamer wanted the stranger holding the golden wallet. One donation alert left a streamer crying beneath imaginary cash. Management raised commissions before the rockets even stopped. I watched the streamers turn on each other for my attention. One braided streamer blew me a kiss. Subtlety had left the platform. By sunrise, the city looked calm. Shark Live was not. Executives ordered an hour-long search for the man behind my account. Lao Sao woke to messages asking how one student moved millions. I considered another streamer deal over a lollipop. The moment I opened Shark Live, alerts buried my screen. I put my phone away and nearly missed class. My classmates had rushed ahead without bothering to wake me. They blamed my late-night reading. I let them keep that explanation. Outside, Zhao Yuqi crossed my path. One glance told me why the entire campus knew her. Lake University treated Zhao Yuqi like its private crown jewel. She carried a book, and half the courtyard forgot where it was going. In class, every empty seat near her became valuable property. She played piano well enough to silence a hall. Ballet, fencing, grades. Zhao Yuqi collected talents without showing off. But that morning, some of the attention shifted toward me. I sat down like being stared at was nothing new. Across the room, Shutong kept looking back. You want the quiet insult? My ex was blushing. The system added 10 points to the woman who had blocked me. 6 weeks earlier, she barely considered me worth a reply. Now I studied the system and considered binding Zhao Yuqi instead. Even the system seemed eager to watch me try. Before I could move, the loudest fool in class started performing. He cornered a classmate who was trying to shield a child. His friends cheered until Zhao Yuqi stepped between them. The bully reached for her shoulder with a smile he had not earned. She caught his collar and erased that smile. One raised pen was enough. His courage suddenly became negotiable. He stammered an excuse, while Zhao Yuqi held him in place. The room erupted, but I watched her. She had grace, nerve, and absolutely no patience for cheap intimidation. That made Zhao Yuqi far more interesting than another pretty profile. Campus attention found me next when I shared my contact code. A student union girl offered me a place beside her. I declined with a smile. Her friend challenged me, expecting the old Chen Yuan to fold. I offered my hand instead. Calm unsettles people faster than anger. One nearby classmate blushed before I had even finished speaking. By then, the entire lecture hall was watching my answer. Another girl smiled like she had already chosen a side. She raised her phone, hoping I would add her too. The girls beside her started measuring each other against my attention. I did nothing. Somehow, that made the interest worse. Another favorability notice appeared before class even ended. Still, I wrote one target into the system: Zhao Yuqi. By lunch, campus gossip claimed I was already pursuing her. My friends teased me like the outcome had been decided. I let them laugh. They still remembered the boy Shutong discarded. A red-faced classmate tried reviving that humiliation before his friends. I smiled at him. When his lackey pressed closer, I dismissed him without raising my voice. He wanted embarrassment. What he got was silence from the crowd. That silence broke when Lele walked in. My silver-haired shopping partner turned every head without asking permission. I greeted her warmly and apologized for keeping her waiting. Lele touched her hair and answered with a smile meant for me. Guess who saw us? Shutong lowered her head as the whispers closed around her. She had blocked me and chosen a richer man. Now she watched me leave. Even her smug little audience looked frustrated by the reversal. Shutong gripped her pencil hard enough to snap the old story in half. Lele had brought me something more personal than another designer bag. She had drawn my portrait from memory. When I reached for it, she warned me not to throw it away. A necklace came with it, the first gift a girl had chosen for me. Lele waited for praise, all warm eyes and nervous patience. I almost softened, but the pattern around her looked too carefully arranged. Every path led back to Lele, like someone had built a web. So I gave her the colder version of me. She hugged the portrait closer, suddenly unsure which Chen Yuan she had. I looked at her gift without giving her the answer she wanted. Lele offered the drawing again, pride barely covering her nerves. I took one corner. Then I leaned close enough to make her forget the rehearsed part. She reached for the portrait, so I lifted it beyond her fingers. When she lunged again, I caught her wrist. I drew her closer and asked why one sketch mattered so much. Her eyes answered before her mouth could. Lele touched her lips, furious that I had rattled her. The system rewarded that fury with another favorability increase. You know the dangerous part? I was starting to enjoy her honesty. That was when the little setup around us finally split open. Accusations burst through the room, and 3 classmates braced for trouble. Wang Yu, Lele's bespectacled classmate, shouted like I had stolen something. He demanded that Lele explain why she had let me get so close. Then he pointed at me and made his wounded loyalty public. I gave him nothing but a level stare. Lele turned on me too, demanding an answer I had never promised. Wang Yu planted himself opposite me, trembling but unwilling to move. I kept hold of Lele's hand and asked him to speak plainly. He introduced himself as if his name could steady his voice. I leaned closer and asked whether this was really about Lele. His face cracked. It was never only about her. Wang Yu had survived hardship by trusting people who later abandoned him. I knew that bitter smile. I used to wear it for Shutong. Someone nearby recoiled when his whole history spilled into the room. I steadied Wang Yu and told him not to bury his future here. Success would answer his betrayers better than any scene in a classroom. Lele stared at his tears, no longer certain who had trapped whom. She tried explaining herself to me after the crowd went quiet. I told her one sincere gift could not erase a calculated test. She tore the portrait before I could hand it back. The pieces fell between us, taking her confident smile with them. Lele reached after me, but I kept walking. I looked back once, just long enough to show I wasn't angry. That hurt her more. In the broken pieces, Lele finally saw every moment I had doubted her. She cried because I understood her and still refused to stay. My phone quietly added 5 more favorability points. By sunset, the courtyard had emptied and my temper was already cold. A new alert found me halfway across campus. I checked the name and smiled. Zhao Yuqi had just started streaming, and I still had 900 rockets.